Hello. All right, mathematicians, welcome to session 4 of lesson 22, subtracting fractions in line plots. So today's work is about subtraction using the line plots. All right. So this one, you're going to see my answer because I already did it. There. I'm going to fix that. We will do a retake. Okay. And take 2. Welcome, mathematicians. This is session 4 of lesson 22, subtracting fractions in line plots. All right, so some subtraction work. What is the difference between the lengths of the longest and the shortest ribbons? So this is not in your book. This is your warm-up problem you can do on your handy-dandy whiteboard or your paper or in your head. All right, push pause. And we'll see if we agree. Welcome back. So we need the difference of the lengths of the longest and the shortest. So the longest is an 8-inch one. We have one that's an 8-inch and one that's a 3-inch. So 8 minus 3 will be 5 inches. Next, here's our making sense problem to try. First read, we ask ourselves, what's the problem about? There are many kinds of dragonflies that are different in length. A scientist measures the length of different dragonflies and makes a line plot to show the measurements. What is the difference between the length of the longest and the shortest dragonfly? So, sounds like it's about a scientist measuring dragonflies. I'm not sure why. Maybe that tells them something about their health. I do not know my dragonflies. Read number 2. What are we trying to find out? There are many kinds of dragonflies that are different in lengths. A scientist measures the lengths of different dragonflies and makes a line plot to show the measurements. What is the difference between the lengths of the longest and the shortest dragonfly? Yeah, so we're trying to find out this last part right here. What is the difference between the longest and the shortest dragonfly that the scientist found? Okay. Third read, what information is important? There are many kinds of dragonflies that are different in length. A scientist measures the lengths of the different dragonflies and makes a line plot to show the measurements. What is the difference between the lengths of the longest and the shortest dragonfly? So what information is important? We've got to know the longest, and we've got to know the shortest. So looking over here at our line plot, we have nothing at 5. So 5's on our chart, but we don't have a dragonfly there. So we have some dragonflies here that are at 4 3/4 length. So that's the longest. And the shortest is at this one. We have some at 3 1/4. Okay, so that's the important information. Next, give it a go. You could use whatever tools you have, whatever strategy you like to solve. Okay, so I think I am going to write my problem out. So 4 3/4 minus 3 1/4. And I used a very big marking tool. Sorry about that. So I think I'll do the usual thing that I like to do, which is put the wholes together. So 4 minus 3 is 1. And then I'll use a different color to look at the parts. 3/4 minus 1/4 is 2/4. So I'm getting 1 2/4 for an answer. Now we need to put inches. So 1 2/4 inches, and then circle my answer so it's easy to see. Or you could say 1 1/2, because that would be the same. All right, do we agree? Hopefully. Share your thinking with a partner. So, did you solve it with a number line? Did you solve it with a tape diagram? Did you solve it by decomposing the parts? Did you take it to decimals? How did you solve it? All right. So this is where we would compare class strategies. You could use a number line. So you could have this at 4 3/4. If you just have like an open number line, a blank number line, and I need to go 4 3/4, take away 3 1/4. So if I first just take away the 3, 4 3/4, well, minus 1 would be 3 1/4. Minus another one would be 2 1/4. So I've done minus 1, but I need to do minus this. Okay, so minus 1 more. That would get me to 1 1/4. So that's minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, and now I need to go 1/4. So I'm at 1, let's, oh, I wrote that wrong. 4 3/4 minus 1 would be 3 3/4. Hopefully you noticed my error there. Okay, so 4 3/4, 3 3/4, 2 3/4, 1 3/4. That makes much more sense. That's minus the 3. Now subtracting a quarter. So 1 3/4 minus just a quarter gives me to 1 2/4, or 1.5 inches. Okay, so that's another way to do it. Number line strategy. Some of you might have been able to hop from here to here, just doing a minus 3. Make it a little bit faster. Here's the tape diagram. Love the tape diagram. So there's our longest one right there, minus this, and that's the difference right there. So that's a great easy picture way. You wouldn't even need to put all those words there. You could just put just the numbers, and that for those people who like to just have a shorter, cleaner picture way, the tape diagram rocks. Because then you'll have the same thing to find what's the difference. So from there, you might be able to just go 4 minus the 3 is 1, and then 3/4 minus 1/4 is 2/4 inches. Cool beans. Alrighty. Here's the number line. This one says you can use a number line to solve a subtraction problem with line plots. Kind of like what I was doing, but they jump back by fourths. Start at 4 3/4, jump back by fourth until you get to 3 1/4. Oh, and then see how much you have. So that's different. 4 3/4, you just keep going until you get to that one. So that's comparing this one to this one. So what's the difference? All of those fourths is the difference. And that makes a little more sense. So we got 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4, 5/4, 6/4. So you've got 6/4, which is the same as 4/4 plus 2/4, which is 1 2/4 inches, or 1.5. That one makes a lot of sense in that model. Different use of the number line. The longest dragonfly. So this is just breaking down our thinking. So 4 3/4 was the longest. So this is just connecting the work that we already just did. And the shortest was 3 1/4. I had to look back, I couldn't remember. Write an expression, which is a math sentence that can be used to find the difference between the two. Well, let's just put our subtraction sentence. And we could have put, if you're thinking more like the last one we just did, you could do 3 1/4 plus what equals 4 3/4. That's another math equation that also works. So this one plus what gets you there. Look at the model on the previous page. Explain how you could use a number line with arrows to find the difference between the two lengths. So how did you use the number line with the arrows? You count the fourths between them. You look at the two different parts and then you count up the difference. So you count up the difference between the longest and the shortest. They did a nice job on their number line because it was all in quarters. So you just counted up the quarters. How can you check that the difference in lengths you found is correct? How will we know it is correct? If we No, it will know because we'll take 3 1/4 plus the difference should equal the total. Okay, so you can add. So you can do this picture right here. Maybe I'll just draw an arrow right here. Okay, so you just, if you want to put the answer in the word ways there, so you add the answer to the shortest, and it should equal the longest, right? Okay, so you can just, how you knew that, subtraction and addition will reflect each other. Look back at your try it strategies by classmates in the picture and the model. Which models or strategies do you like best for solving problems involving the subtraction of fractions in the line plots? All right. Do you like the number line? Do you like the tape model? Do you like the breaking up the numbers, decomposing the parts, the wholes with the fractions? Do you want to take it to decimals? We didn't even model that, but you could take it to decimals. Maybe I should model that one. On this last one, you just write down which one you like the best. So I like, then write down what you like, because just tell us why. And let me quickly model how you could do this in decimals. So 4 3/4 would be 4.75 minus 3 and 1/4. 1/4 of a dollar, 1/4 of a dollar is 25 cents. So for team decimal, that will be, or you could line it up if that makes it easier for you. If you want to line it up like this, $4.75, 3.25, 1.5. Okay. So maybe you like the decimal style because decimals make more sense in your brain. Lots of different ways to do it. So make sure you reflect on what's your way that it works best for your brain right now. It also depends on which kind of problem. This one was easy to go to decimals. It's not always easy to go to decimals. Use the line plot above. What length are the greatest numbers of dragonflies? What length are the least number of dragonflies? What is the difference between the two lengths? Be careful here. They want us to know what is the length of the greatest number of dragonflies. And what is the length? So we're going to give an answer. We're going to give one of these because it's asking, what is the length? What is the length? Okay, so we're going to give one of those numbers. Why? Because it says, what's the length? What length are the greatest number of dragonflies? Remember, each X here is a dragonfly. So when I find the greatest number, that's right here. I want to use my marker. Okay, so that's the, whoops, right there. That's the greatest. It's the tallest. It has the most dragonflies. What length is that? 4.5. Okay, so what length? So greatest number of dragonflies. Some people would put the answer of 5 there because there's 5 dragonflies, but that's not what it wants. It wants to know what length. So the length there is 4.5 inches. Okay. What length are the least number of dragonflies? Well, that's interesting. What length are the least? I guess if you have 0 dragonflies, it is not wanting that one. So my guess is they want us this one that has 1, because there's at least 1 dragonfly. But you could probably argue for the 3 or the 5 because there's none there. But we'll go with this one. All right. So what length is the least? Only 1 dragonfly is 3.5. Otherwise, I guess the other ones don't really have length. Okay, so least dragonfly length equals 3.5. Okay. And so that was question, that's part B. I'll put that underneath here and I will hide that so you can see it. Move my numbers up. So that was part 1. This one has 3 parts. Part 2. Now part 3, what is the difference between the two lengths? 4.5 minus 3.5 is what, everybody? That's easy for you. Difference. Easier than spelling difference, apparently. Wow. Issues. Is 1 inch, right? 3.5 plus 1 gets us to the 4.5. Okay. Sweet. We did it. Exit ticket number 7. The line plot below shows the lengths of pieces of ribbon. Okay, so this is about ribbon. What is this about ribbon? Terry's piece of ribbon is 1 5/8 shorter than the longest piece of ribbon. How long is Terry's piece of ribbon? Okay, so first read, this just telling us it's about ribbon. And we got some inches of ribbon. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces of ribbon. All right, and they're between 10 and 12 inches. Terry's piece of ribbon is 1 5/8 shorter than the longest piece of ribbon. How long is Terry's piece of ribbon? So we are trying to find out how long is Terry's piece. So Terry's piece might not really match any of those X's. All right, important information is 1 5/8 shorter. That's an important word. Then the longest piece. Okay, so Terry's piece is 1 5/8 shorter than the longest. Longest piece is right here. So we have to do, I don't even think this matters for us. It doesn't even help us. Terry's piece is 1 5/8 inches shorter than the longest piece. All right, push pause. Solve it, because it's an exit ticket. Can you do this on your own? Give it a go. Welcome back. This is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking tape diagram, and I'm thinking I would love a rectangle, but I don't know if I've got rectangle shapes on here. I don't think so. Okay, so I'm going to make a tape diagram. The longest piece is this one, which is going to be, what is this into? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's into eighths. So 8/8 minus 1/8 is 7/8. So the longest piece is 11 7/8 inches. Terry's piece is shorter. There's Terry's piece. T for Terry. And it is 1 5/8 inches shorter. All right. So I need to subtract 11 7/8. I don't like that right there. Eraser. Okay. I'll make it bigger right here. 11, maybe. 11 7/8 minus 1 5/8. I'm going to do my usual. Bring the wholes together. 11 minus 1 is 10. Get a different color. Bring the parts together. The fraction pieces. 7/8 minus 5/8 is 2/8. So put the 2/8 together with the 10. Means that Terry's piece right here is 10 2/8 inches, which is the same as 10 1/4, which is the same as 10.25. All right, so hopefully we agree. On your own, you need to do pages 483 and 484. Let me know if you have any questions, mathematicians. Bye.